Have you ever wondered where the soul goes after death? Does it travel to another realm or vanish into nothingness? And where does it come from? These are questions that have puzzled humans for millennia. But what if I told you that the answers lie in a profound yet simple truth, that the soul doesn't go anywhere at all? In Advaita Vedanta, the soul, Atman, is not an individual, fleeting entity that is born or dies. It is timeless, formless, and fundamentally one with Brahman, the ultimate consciousness that permeates everything. The idea of the soul going somewhere after death is a misconception born from the illusion of individuality. Let me explain. So, where does the soul go after death? According to Advaita Vedanta, it doesn't go anywhere. The body dies, but the soul, unchanged, eternal, and unaffected, remains. Time and space, which seem so real to us, are actually just constructs within the material world, bound by our limited perception. Einstein's theory of relativity tells us that time is not absolute. It bends and warps depending on speed and gravity. A clock placed near a black hole will tick slower than one on Earth. This means that time is not an independent reality, it is simply a measurement within the physical universe. The same is true for space. Space is not an empty container where things simply exist and move. Modern physics, particularly Einstein's general theory of relativity, has shown that space itself is dynamic. It bends and stretches in response to mass and energy. In fact, what we perceive as gravity is just the curvature of space time. This means space is not an independent, fundamental reality. It is an emergent property of the physical world. Now, why does this matter? Because the very concept of going somewhere exists only within space. When we speak of travel, movement, or a journey, we are referring to space. Similarly, when we say after death, we are using time to describe an event. But if both time and space are merely constructs within the physical world, then once we transcend the body and mind, they no longer apply. Without space, there is nowhere to go. Without time, there is no after death. Once we realize this, the very question of where the soul goes becomes meaningless. It is like asking where a dream goes when we wake up. Death then is simply the shedding of the body, the dissolution of the mind, and the illusion of separation. The soul doesn't go on a journey, it remains. What we call death is just the end of one form, and in reality, there is no end. The soul doesn't change, it doesn't begin or end, it simply exists, just as Brahman exists beyond all concepts of space and time. So, where does the soul come from? The soul has never come from anywhere because it is not a product of time. It is Brahman itself, the eternal, unchanging reality. The soul appears in different bodies, experiences various lives, but it has never truly left its source. It is not born and it does not die. In Advaita Vedanta, when we realize that the soul is one with Brahman, we transcend the illusion of birth, death, and rebirth. We understand that the soul has never moved. It is always the same, always infinite. The idea of the soul going somewhere or coming from somewhere vanishes, leaving only the realization that we are already Brahman, the infinite consciousness. And when we understand this, we are free from the cycle of life and death. In essence, the soul doesn't go anywhere after death. It is always where it has always been, unchanging, eternal, and one with the universe. The illusion of a journey, of going somewhere or coming from somewhere dissolves, and we realize that the soul is infinite, never separate, always part of the whole. So, next time you ask where the soul goes after death, remember, it doesn't go anywhere. It simply returns to its true nature, untouched by time and space, because it has always been the eternal Brahman,